encourage the attendees of this particular meeting that as much as I want to concur with my colleague that leaders are born, leaders, they're somewhere, it comes by training. I want to say this, that each and everyone has a potential to be a leader. Don't despise yourself, maybe from the background, but from whatever position you are, you can raise up to greater heights. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Boya, what did you also like to talk about leadership? After he has talked about what he has said, what would you go on to talk about? Thank you.
In service everywhere, you find there's this person leading this team, guiding this team. So I believe the more they do, the more they learn, because I believe people do learn so much as well from the mistakes. So I believe in this place, one of the things, as I've said, of developing is one through mentorship, and as well as they hear and they learn, and as well because I believe this is a place as well that people discover that, oh, I am able in this part, I'm potential in this place. So I believe as well, the more they are mentored, the more they discover a lot. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent, thank you. So a lot through mentorship. I would be interested to know, Dr. Kishero, what are your thoughts about mentorship? How are we doing perhaps at KMTC level? And then comment in such a session, how do we do mentorship?
That's an interesting question, DDA. I think your life, so there's that going on. And we are also consciously, even as an institution, saying that mentorship is core. Even as a staff, we've started to see that we need to be mentored, and we've started to mentor each other. So there's plenty of opportunities in KMTC.
Thank you, thank you. Reverend Charles, because you're a pastor and you are ministering in your church, how do you do mentorship? Do you want to comment one way or at least one way where you do mentorship, if you do?
Thank you so much, Dr. Morgan. In our church, or in churches, we normally appoint, sometimes we normally appoint people for specific roles. And maybe in the process you realize that maybe that person is not equal to the task. So you go an extra mile.
It comes from learning mentorship, all that process. But to put it into context is how they are able to lead themselves first, then they are able to lead the other people.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So how do we lead ourselves? One way in which we lead ourselves, one way in which we lead ourselves, one way. So can I come back to you, Karim? How do you lead yourself?
Thank you. I believe that one thing that helps one to lead themselves is having principles. In this context, we are in the a spiritual realm or a spiritual space. But one thing I've come to learn is that the Bible has given the principles of life. Either you are in the corporate world, the business, whatever you are, either you are in the corporate world, in the business, whatever you are, the Bible has given. And when we speak about those principles that God has given us, once we do them, once we embrace them, they become part of us. In that, I'm looking into an example like responsibility, something that, you know, you have been given a role to lead a church, in a Bible study, in a fellowship. So when you have that in context, that God, it is my responsibility to lead these people, is that you have responsibility to lead these people, is that you have to allow God to say, how does you lead there? People can see, because once you have these things, one of the things that we usually look is the leadership qualities. Are you time manager? Can you keep time? And those are the things that I really think the principles that God has given us, we can embrace them.
Okay, thank you. So it's mentioned about reading the Bible, the scriptures give us some very good principles, reading and applying. So I want to ask, in addition to the Bible, does anybody have an example of a good book that you have read, leadership book that you have read recently that has helped? Secondly, as mentioned, the issue of timekeeping. So I would want to pick on that and also ask, what can you do to manage your time? Because we all have the same amount of time every day. How can we manage it better? That's the first question I will ask. So anybody who can give me an example of a book, you prefer a book that you have read that you'd want to say. Anybody would want to say? Okay.
I think Didi, yes, recently we have been reading a book. At KMTC we have a book club, which is something I would also want.
So when we worked on our gifts that we were given, towards the end, there's something that we are expecting. That if the leadership that is ordained on us by God, if we're able to make use of it accordingly, at the end, we're expecting something that the farmer will be joyful as per the fruits that we're able to bear. Now, in reference to the word of God, we have got an example of Apostle Paul. So, initially he was born, he used to dwell as a leader to the Jews.
As I can begin from this point, because one, as you have discovered yourself, like on that about leadership, I believe one of the things that there is, I guess, one of the books that was written by Miles Mulroy about purpose, and there is something in mention of the vision. I believe as a leader, okay, there is something you are aiming. Now, in consideration of time, I believe one of the distractions that so much that touches on probably, I can say, students mainly, because probably I know more of us, we are students. I believe one of the parts might be, one, is that the things, let's say the things about our families, because one is that you find, because a number of cases I know, a number of people is find that people coming like and talking of let's say there's this and this and this that are going on in the family, and you find probably even some of the people, they just even leave, they just stay alone, they just, you see, that staying alone, a lot of time is just wasted. That's like okay, some people you can find even not even attending class because of all that issue, probably the family and the sad things. Probably one of the things, let's say a person has an issue of the school fee, so fine, it is a distraction in a way. Probably if at any point let's say, let me use myself as an example, that if I not understand my vision, because my aim is that one is that I be this person. Okay, in that point of self-leadership, I want to be this person. But you find that if, let's say, all those kind of things and I just focused on them, I will just waste time on trying to focus on all those kind of distraction. Yeah, I believe some of them are that.
Okay,
Thank you, Madam.
so sometimes we can get overwhelmed by the challenges and spend time worrying about them. That also eats into our time. Now, how do we handle that so that we don't waste time? Maybe, Patron Boya, what do you think? How do we make better, avoid distractions, at least the ones that are within our control?
Thank you. Maybe the best way is to have a structured schedule, and you trust God to be firm on that schedule so that you are effective. Thank you.
So a schedule that you stick to, that means you'll have to have discipline. Yeah, you have to have discipline to stick to it, even though the challenge is there. Yeah, how do we avoid distractions, as students particularly?
Yeah, thank you, Madam. I believe one of the ways is to keep focus. Because I want to give just a very short example. If you want to go to your destination, and anything happening, tire punctures, maybe there was jam, many things happen on your road. But one thing you remain knowing, you are getting to somewhere, your destination, and that is your focus. The distractions, the distractors are many, but keep your focus.
So, Dr. Kishiro, like today, in this meeting, I know there are so many other things you could be doing. How do you avoid distractions in this meeting?
That's a good question. I was hoping that I would see people do this. Major distractor, yeah. TikTok, I always find students looking for the hotspots, so that then they are checking. When you see people doing this, you know they're just going over checking reels.
Yeah.
But in the book that I will keep referring to by Stephen Covey, he has this 4-quadrant principle, where you look at things as either important or urgent. Okay? So there are things that are important and urgent. There are things that are important but not urgent. There are things that are not important but urgent, and there are things that are not important and not urgent. Okay? Now the thing is that we tend to place most of our time in the things that are not important and not urgent, especially social media. Not important, not urgent. Okay? Then the things that are important and not urgent is, I think, what we were discussing in the morning about academic excellence. That, of course, exams many of the times are urgent, but really your academic journey, and even what we were talking about leadership, growing as a leader ourselves, those are important things, but they're rarely urgent. So they always take a back seat until the point that they're important and urgent. Like now, exam time, and now you realize you had not been reading, and now you have to spend the night awake reading. But if you had been planning your time so that you know my academics is important, and therefore I am doing it consistently it over time, I now have the principle of urgent. So I would suggest you need to have a schedule. But in your schedule, you have to have more of the things that are important, not more of the things that are urgent. Okay? So that's what I would say.
Very, very important to distinguish between the urgent and the important. Some things that are urgent, like when your phone rings, it's urgent because it needs you to pick it there and then. But it may not be important because perhaps it was whoever was calling was somebody that maybe they are just trying the number, or what they are saying is not important. Now you have to determine whether you are going to concentrate on the urgent or the important, because for the important it means there